Hello everyone, I'm Patel, Assistant Professor from Department of Pharmaceutical Technology. Welcome to the MOOC series, an initiative taken by LJ Institute of Pharmacy. In our today's session, we will discuss on the role of Supac guideline in pilot plant and scale up technique. So, when we go through the concept of this particular relation, in that case, the role of Supac guideline plays a key points in the product development. So, if we go through the content which we are going to discuss, in that mainly we will go through the concept of Supac guideline by definition, its scientific rationale, means how it creates its own importance in the product development, the specific classification regarding the Supac guideline, what kind of level change are included under this guideline, if manufacturing sites are going to be changed, what different necessary actions we have to take, batch size changes, and at the last we'll also talk about some limitations of the Supac guideline. So whenever we talk with this word Supac, so obviously as a part of full form we can say Supac stands for scale up post approval changes. So if we go through the detailed concept regarding this, in process of developing a new product, new drug product, the size of the batches is gradually increased, and that is known as scale up. So the scale up process and the changes made after the approval in composition, manufacturing process, manufacturing equipment, and the change of site have become known as scale up and post approval. So we can say that in the preliminary study, the size of the batch is little bit low, and gradually that we are going to increase. So with respect to regulatory guideline, we have to think about this detailed formation of Supac guideline. Now, what is the scientific rationale behind this? So we can say that the process of post approval changes of drug products ultimately relates to the physical chemical stability of our product. With respect to this particular guideline, FDA can assure FDA can assure their safety and effectiveness, as well as we can lower down the continuous regulatory burden for industry. So industry will follow the specific guideline, which one is important, and it is going to be followed for the quality of pharmaceutical product. Now, based on these different relation, we can say that according to the need of product and the level changes, Supac guideline is divided into three types. One, which you can see onto this particular screen, that is Supac IR. Second one, that is Supac MR. And the third one, that is Supac SS. IR stands for immediate released solid oral dosage form. That means specific guideline is formed to identify the product relation with respect to immediate release content. In the next point, we can see modified released. MR stands for modified released solid oral dosage form. That means for modified release, one another separate classification and the guideline is available which industry has to follow. In the third case, that is for SS, for non-sterile semi-solid dosage form. So based on that, we can say that includes a different kind of a cream, ointment, gels, or lotion. So with respect to this case, we can easily identify three different kind of classification is available under the Supac guideline. Now, based on the type of dosage form, with respect to pilot plant and scale up technique, we have to follow this particular relations and guideline. Now, when we talk about the guidelines, what kind of detailings are available inside the guideline of Supac? So, as you can see onto the screen, mainly we are concerned about three different points. One, that is level of change. Second, what kind of test you are going to perform. And third, a type of documentation, how you are going to file. Means these three major important areas are covered in case of Supac guideline. So again, we can say what kind of change of levels we are going to introduce. Second thing, for that kind of changes, what kind of tests are required and what should be the reporting pattern, filing pattern. So the level of changes are bifurcated with the three types. One is minor change, second one is moderate change, and the third one is the major change. At the same time, when we go for testing mechanism, in vitro dissolution, release patterns, in vivo testings, this all compendial test should be performed for the quality of pharmaceutical product. At the last, when we are talking about the simple concept of filing and documentation, we are concerned about the specific types of annual report, and that is to be prepared in a specific format. So we can say that this basic guidelines gives the idea how we have to follow in a protocol manner these different guidelines. Now in the next point, we can say what kind of level changes are there, how we can say that this particular change level is included. So in Supac, again, levels of change are divided into three types. One, level 1 says that unlikely to have detectable impact. That means formulation quality and performance relations with respect to this level change. If we found level 1 change, in that case we can say unlikely to have detectable impact onto the final product. When we are talking about level 2, it says that could have significant impact onto the formulation. Means with respect to that kind of change, there may be a significant impact onto the quality of final formulation. So obviously, we have to take care regarding that level change. In the level 3, we can say likely to have a significant impact. In short, these three different levels indicates the range of changes and its effect onto the formulation content. Now, in the next point, we can say this guidelines basically provides the recommendations for post approval changes in what? Means suppose if we say in the detailings of the guideline what kind of changes are there and what should be the specific movement for the product relation. So in that case, suppose if you have changed the components, if you have changed the composition in your formulation, then suppose change in the manufacturing side is there, or scale up of the manufacture is considered, and the manufacturing process as well as the equipment changes. For all this kind of relative concept, this Supac guideline is available. So if we talk about manufacturing changes, obviously we can say that when we talk about these manufacturing changes, we can say that changes in the location of the site of manufacturing, packaging operations changes, or analytical testing laboratory location changes. These all should comply with CGMP guidelines and the current these good manufacturing practices with respect to the scale up relations in pilot plant. In that case, if we talk about the change in batch size, so again it relates to the scale up technique. Again, it relates to the scale up technique. So changes in the size of the batch from the pilot scale to the bio batch material to the larger production batches. In that case, we have to give each and every details with respect to the Supac guideline to get the post approval identified and authorized following parameters. That means obviously we need to think about the compliance of CGMP. Yes, there should be no change in SOP. Obviously, that will remain same. Formulation and manufacturing processes of equipments which are used. In short of that, all the scale up changes should be properly validated. If it is validated, we can say that there is no deviation in the quality of our final product. So the minimum batch size for the clinical trial should also be considered. So with the help of that, we can exactly evaluate the quality of product. So more or less, we can say minimum according to the type of dosage form. Suppose if we consider units, it should be 1 lakh unit. If we consider in terms of kilogram, it should be 100 kg, or the minimum level of 10% with respect to the size of the production batch, whichever is larger. In that case, we have to perform the all experimental levels, testing components, and that we have to submit to this authority for the approval region. Now there are certain limitations. There are certain limitations which also we can focus on this point. In this case of Supac guideline for pilot plant and scale up techniques, it does not discuss multiple changes at a time. It also not covered the modified equipment guidelines. Guidelines for specific equipment is available, but if you change down the equipments or a modification in that, those kind of guidelines are not available. So that must be used in conjunction with other references. Means at the type of following this guideline, we have to go for referencing. For an example, we have to use excipients handbook. That means it gives some relevance and the idea regarding the quality of formulation. So this one is the basic content which we have discussed. From this content, if you find what kind of questions may be asked, so as you can see, the very first question we can say, discuss the role of Supac in pilot plant and scale up technique. Especially this specific question can be framed. So please look after at this point. And in second case, explain the classification of Supac with respect to the type of dosage form. So what kind of guideline we have to follow for a particular Supac guideline, that we have to identify over here. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please do subscribe our channel, that is Pharma Ignite. Do like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you. Thank you very much.